It's May 12th, 2017, and the day is starting as usual. Early birds are already at work, some have already had their coffees, while others are still on the road. But little do people know, today it's not a regular Friday morning. It's 8 a.m. UTC, and you decide to check your notes before your daily meeting. Switch on your screen only to come across this. What is going on? What the heck is happening? It's not just you. Reports around the globe point to a global offense. This is the story of the largest cyber attack to ever happen. In just a few days, WannaCry hit over 200,000 computers across more than 150 countries. Hospitals in the UK, factories in Germany, telecoms in Spain, and even giants like FedEx, and literally no one seemed to be safe. This was no joke, it was a real global crisis. What you have on your screen right now is a snippet of the WannaCry's message once your computer is infected. As every ransomware, its main goal is to encrypt your entire system to then demand a payment to get your data back. But WannaCry was not just that, it was also proficient at spreading autonomously, so no phishing emails, no human mistakes, all by itself. Here's how it worked. WannaCry used a network protocol called the Server Message Block to reach new systems. This service, commonly known as SMB, is widely used for file and printer sharing. It forms the basis for most distributed file systems, and that is the reason why it is everywhere. The SMB version 1 happened to have a critical flaw, and WannaCry would scan networks looking for targets with it, sending specific messages that allowed malicious code to be run on any vulnerable machine. So as you can tell, no clicking links, no opening attachments, basically, boom, infected. Now here's the part most people still don't believe. The exploit that made WannaCry possible, called EternalBlue, was not created by malicious hackers. It was created by the United States National Security Agency, the NSA. The NSA had discovered the same flaw in Windows months or maybe years earlier, and instead of reporting it to Microsoft, they kept it secret. They weaponized it. Eternal Blue became a part of their cyber espionage toolkit. In other words, this vulnerability was known, but it was kept hidden for the sake of intelligence operations. But if this was a secret, then how could this situation be happening? In late 2016, a mysterious hacker group called the Shadow Brokers started leaking NSA's data and information. While there were questions about their authenticity in the beginning, soon they left no room for doubts. Beginning 2017, it was clear this group had real access to NSA's arsenal. On April 14th, the Shadow Brokers leaked a collection of NSA cyber tools, including Eternal Blue. Suddenly, one of America's top secret hacking weapons was out in the open. Anyone could download it. What's fascinating is that Microsoft had already released a patch that fixed this SMB flaw exactly 1 month earlier. March 14th, Microsoft published the validating MS-17010, which covered patches for these SMB vulnerabilities, which raises several questions, but the main one being, did the NSA quietly warn Microsoft only when they knew their tool was about to be leaked? Now, regardless of when the patch was available, maybe it was late, but it doesn't really matter because at that time there was already a fix, there was already a patch, but still hundreds of thousands of computers were never updated. So why could that happen? Why were so many systems still running old SMB versions? Well, the answer is not really sophisticated and it's basically related to greed. In many industries, downtime is borderline unacceptable. It is difficult for hospitals to restart their networks, and factories are not supposed to post production. And that's why so many machines were running old Windows versions, still running SMB version 1, which, by the way, it's a protocol from the 1980s, so almost 40 years before this incident. and why they were never updated. Basically, when WannaCry hit, the entirety of the world was its playground. WannaCry spread like wildfire until a young British researcher, who by the way was on vacation, got to know about the WannaCry issue and started reverse engineering the malware. Upon obtaining the code, he noticed there was something odd about it. There was reference to an unregistered web domain. So out of curiosity, he registered it. And instantly the virus stopped spreading. This random domain happened to be a kill switch built into the malware. So basically, WannaCry was built to desperately seek this domain's address, infecting new systems in attempts to get closer to it. So once this domain was registered, WannaCry became dormant as now he had a clear way to its final destination. Well, now we do not really know if that was intended or if it was a mistake made by the developers or the hackers. The reality is that it worked. Still, the damage was already done. Over $4 billion in losses, hospitals forced to turn away patients, and factories forced to stop production. This crisis was not just a cyber attack. In fact, it was a wake up call. It showed the world that despite downtime being borderline unacceptable, maintenance, scheduled stops, and updates need to be done. It also exemplified perfectly how a single unchecked vulnerability can cascade into a global crisis given the interconnectivity of systems that we have today. And it also brought to light the importance of intelligence sharing, as keeping things secret makes everyone pay the price. In the end, WannaCry wasn't just a story about failure, it was a story about awakening. For the first time, governments, companies, and security researchers around the world realized that cybersecurity isn't a competition, it is a shared responsibility. In the days that followed, agencies cooperated across borders, patches were deployed faster than ever, and a new mindset began to take shape, one built on transparency, collaboration, and trust. The action from just a single guy prevented the infection from spreading further. Then a French researcher found a way to recover the information from specific Windows versions that had been encrypted by the virus. All in all, our global ecosystem seems to thrive when working together. Because the truth is, no system can ever be perfectly secure, but together we can make the world resilient. WannaCry showed us how fragile our digital world can be, but it also proved something powerful, that when the world faces a crisis, we can unite and learn. And maybe that's how we turn chaos into progress.